Booster Gold has a plan, but will it work this time? And welcome back to my channel, everybody. I am Brant, and I'm here with another comic review talking Heroes in Crisis issue number 5. This issue has a couple of interesting things, but I'll say right up front that not a whole lot happens. We get a little bit of interaction between a few different characters. We get some answers and a lot more questions. So, non-spoiler right now, but I am going to talk a little bit spoiler at the end. I'll warn you before we get there. But as far as the issue in terms of writing and art go, I thought the writing was solid in this issue. There was a nice juxtaposition of a news broadcast going on where Superman and Wonder Woman are delivering a speech about Sanctuary, and at the same time you have Booster doing his thing in Batgirl and Harley doing their thing, and it was a nice overlaying of this broadcast that kind of, and there was also some other images popped in of different characters and heroes and stuff, and kind of how it affects each one of these as they're explaining what exactly Sanctuary is. And I thought it was a nice way that the whole issue was laid out in that part of it. Aside from that, you had some interesting developments with Batman and Batgirl as they're investigating Skeets and what kind of information they can glean from that. And of course, as with every issue of Heroes in Crisis, you're getting the confessional tapes, and you see some interesting confessionals from Solstice, from the Protector, and from Harley, especially at the end to wrap up the issue, which was a really powerful one. Some interesting stuff. And again, Booster hanging out with Blue Beetle and coming up with this plan and a revelation that comes about with that. So it's really interesting in that way. I say not a whole lot happens, but it's just because this was kind of a transitional issue, I think, between story points. So next issue, it looks like the action's about to really ramp up, whereas this issue, it was a lot of building up to get to that point. The art, I know some people aren't crazy about the various skin-tight outfits in this, but I aside from that, I think the art is gorgeous in this book. I think it's been gorgeous since the first issue, and here it's equally as beautiful to look at. Just the panel layouts, the emotional resonance of these characters' faces, especially in the confessionals and things like that. And when Booster, there's a really cool confessional with Booster where he's, and this is at the beginning of the book, where he's looking at his visor and he sees a spot from the stuff that he suffered in Batman when he tried to give Batman a present by bringing his parents back and all that. And he can't get rid of the spot even though there's nothing there. And it's this really tragically poetic sequence that he's going through. So really solid stuff there. The revelation that we got with this issue was kind of what a lot of people figured, especially with Booster being involved, which I'll get to in the spoiler section of this review. But it wasn't a whole lot to go on, but it was a nice little cliffhanger to leave us on to kind of build upon what exactly is happening here. So, here's your spoiler warning. If you've not read Heroes in Crisis number 5 yet, you want to go read that before this if you don't want to get spoiled. It's not a huge spoiler, but nonetheless, I don't want to spoil it for you guys if you don't want to be spoiled. Alright, so at the end of the issue, Booster reveals that he's looking at the footage of Wally West, his death, and looking and examining the blood and everything, and he says he's not a genius, he's not the most knowledgeable person in the world, but one thing he does know is superheroes, and he does know time travel, and he's looking at the DNA markers and things like that, and he reveals to us that this Wally West is 5 days older than he should be. So something's happened. Either this is a time displaced Wally West from 5 days in the future, or something has aged him, or something has happened, and it's pointing to it not being the actual Wally West that we know and love, and that's something that, you know, the rest of us over on Comic Frontline kind of assumed anyway, that we're going to get out of this and bring Wally back. But we also assumed that it was going to be something with time travel because Booster Gold's at the center of this. So now we kind of think that. With other stuff that happened in the issue, Batgirl and Harley are investigating or kind of interrogating Skeets quite violently, as a matter of fact, to get Booster's location. And that, after Booster gives us that reveal, in comes Harley with her big giant hammer to take Booster out. And that's kind of where we leave things off, which was really interesting. And then we get that nice sequence of Harley's confessional where she relates this joke that the Joker had told her, and basically calling her a moron, and revealing that he hit her, and he hit her really good. And that's how you end the issue, and you just see how tortured Harley is within. Aside from that, we kind of get the impression that these tapes are going to be leaked to the public, and Superman and Wonder Woman wanted to get out ahead of it because he kind of knew what Lois was going to do with this. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens when this does get out there. I thought the speech by Superman and Wonder Woman was really powerful, where they were talking about the things that these heroes go through, and that you shouldn't be afraid of that you should actually be proud that they are getting the help that they need, so they don't go out there and they're not tortured. And a really interesting thing with the confessional with the Protector was, and this is the one that was from the PSA little don't do drugs strips that they did, and he was just like this throwaway character, but he comes in here and he's it's kind of funny but kind of not, but he's like, you know, I was telling all these kids not to do drugs, and then he said, I did a lot of drugs. And it was very tragic in the fact that, you know, he's telling all these kids not to do this, and he's doing it. And it's kind of like a thing that a lot of celebrities probably do. They go out there and give that message, and then they have their own demons that they deal with. So a lot of interesting things happen with this issue, just not a lot of progression, except for when we get to the end with that reveal and everything. But still a very solid issue that gives us, again, a lot to go on, but a lot more questions that still need to be answered. So really interesting. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on Heroes in Crisis number 5 in the comments below. Let me know what you thought of it, and let me know what you thought of this review. And if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe and notification bell so you get updates on new content going up to this channel. And follow me at Brant Fowler on Facebook, Twitter, at Last Number Press on Instagram. And until next time, I'll see you in another video. Thanks. Bye.